We begin today the Gemara, the bottom of Daf Nun Hey Yomud Beis, about 5 lines up from the bottom of the Yomud. Tanya. So the Gemara, Tanya, we learned in the Braise, Omer Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua said, Arba Dvarim, Ha'isa Isan, the four following things, one that does them, Pata Medine Yadam, he's going to be Pata here in a Bezdin here in this world, but V'chai B'dine Shemaim. But he is Chayiv in heaven for what he did, the damage that he caused. Ve'elohein, and the following are the four things. Ha'peiritz geder b'fnei behemes chaverei, a person that breaks open a door in front of the animals of his friend, and then they went and damaged. V'ha'koifef kamasei shel chaverei b'fnei adleka, person that bends someone's grain down to fire, and then the fire burnt it. V'ha'soichei de sheker, someone that hires false witnesses to lahoy, to testify in a dintera. And a person had himself, he has information, he knows testimony about a case, and he doesn't testify the edus that he knows. So in all these cases, the point is, this is what's called a grama, that he's causing a damage, but it's only considered to be a cause, not something that he did directly. So the halacha always is, grama b'nizakin is potter, potter b'dinei adam, but chai b'dinei shemayim. Now the Gemara is going to go through each one of these cases in detail to explain why is he potter b'dinei adam and why is he chai b'dinei shemayim. Both parts we'll see here in the Gemara. So the Gemara, so Rabbi Yeshua here said in the Braise, you broke open a door in front of your animal's friend, or your friend's animal that is, and the animal went out and damaged someone. So you didn't do the damage. You just broke open the wall. Now the animal went out, so that's something that happened not directly with you taking it out. So you're going to be potter. So now hechidami, what's the case of here? Body. Are we talking about that there was a wall? There was a strong wall that was blocking the animal. B'dinei adam, nami nechayev. He should be chayev b'dinei adam, even if not for the damage of the animal, but he should be chayev for this that he broke down the wall. And over here it says that he's potter. Potter sounds like he's potter completely, not only for the damage that the animal causes, but for breaking the wall as well. Ella, says the Gemara, what's the case over here? Because we're talking about an unstable wall, which eventually is going to be demolished because it has to be rebuilt. It's anyways not a good wall. And this person went and took down the wall in advance, and now the animal went out. So for the wall, he's not chayiv. For the animal that went out and damaged, also he didn't do anything directly, so he'll be potter midinei adam. The next case, Rabbi Yeshua said, person bends down grain from his friend towards a fire and catches on fire. So the Gemara, what are we talking about over here? If he bends down the grain to the fire in such a way that just a normal wind can come and then burn it, so then why is saying his potter? He should be chayiv here in a bezna for what he did. He did something that just with a normal wind it will catch on fire. So he's bringing it to the fire. Taisus over here spells out what this basically means is there's no difference if you light a fire in a place where it can spread and catch onto fire into someone's property. So you're bringing the fire to the thing that it burns, or you bring the whatever item it is to the fire, and therefore it burns. It's the same thing. So just like when you light a fire and then it spreads, Yechayev with a Ruach Mitzuya. So if you bend it down, and because the Ruach Mitzuya causes it to catch on fire, you should be Chayev the same thing. Therefore the Gemara answers, the case must be the Mati Beruch Sheina Mitzuya, that it's only something that with the unusual wind that will burn this grain that you bent down in this direction. And at the time when you bend it down, that wind wasn't there, and something that you didn't realize. So therefore, b'dinei adam you potter. Ravashi says another pshat, tomun itmer. What we learned in this brayso, what Rabbi Yeshua meant to say is in a case where he turned it into tomun. What does this mean? Shum deshavua tomun be'esh. What this person did is there's a fire that's burning. Someone else lit the fire, and this fire is spreading, and it's coming to this person's property. You went into this person's property, and you covered his grain, and now, because you covered the grain, the halacha, by any damage that happens through fire is that when it burns something which is covered, you don't have to pay for that. That's one of the things that you potter by fire. So now what you did is, you caused a major damage for this person that owns this grain. Because if you wouldn't have covered it, then the one that lit the fire and it spread and it burnt this grain, would have had to pay for the damage of the grain. But now that you covered it, so now the person that lit the fire is going to be potter to pay for this grain that it burnt because it's covered. And once it's covered, you're potter for that. So therefore, you didn't cause the damage directly, but you caused a petur here. So therefore, this is a grama. So b'dinei yadam, you're potter for this. Amamar, the next case, the Braisa said that is a grama and you're potter b'dinei yadam haseichei de sheker. Person that hires false witnesses to testify in a din Torah. What's the case over here? If this is for a person himself in his own din Torah, let's say he has a din Torah with someone, and he comes and told someone, "You owe me $1,000," and he didn't have any witnesses to prove this, and he hires false witnesses to collect this money, which is not even his. Why are you saying in such a case he's patim din yadam? If he hired false witnesses to collect money that he's not owed, so he has to pay back that money. Or b'dinei yadam namri chayiv. So even b'dinei yadam, he's chayiv to return the money that he collected unjustly. Ella says the Gemara, what he meant is l'chavre, that he hired eidei sheker for other people that had a din Torah. Reuven and Shimon had a din Torah, and this person comes along and hires eidei sheker for the benefit of Reuven to be able to take money out of Shimon, but he doesn't have any of that money. Reuven has the money. That's considered to be a grama. When he hires these eidei sheker, so the eidei sheker, they don't have to do this aveda and say the eidei sheker. Yeah, true, he caused it, he paid them for this, but it's not, he didn't do the damage here directly. So therefore, b'dinei yadam is pater. The last case the Braisa said, "Va'yideya eidus l'chavera ve'ena meidloi." In a case where a person says false here the case is the person knows testimony for his friend and he doesn't come and testify. So by withholding this testimony, so it's just a grama, so b'dinei yadam you pater, but you chayiv b'dinei shemayim. Fragt the Gemara, b'maya skina, what's the case of the Braisa here? Ilaim b'beitrei, is the Braisa talking about two people that know testimony and they're both withholding this eidos? Pshita. Definitely, b'dinei shemayim, there's a chiyah for this. Dairaisu, this is actually a lav min ha-Torah. The pasuk says, "Im lo yagid v'nasa avaynai," that if witnesses do not say their testimony, then they have a sin. So this is a lav min ha-Torah that Eidim must say their testimony. Yeah, b'dinei yadam, you're still going to be potter because it's a grama, but the fact that b'dinei shemayim there's a issa, that's a clear pasuk. Says the Gemara, no, the chiddush over here is elo b'chad. We're talking here about one witness. So this one witness, this is not what the pasuk was talking about when it said in lo yagid v'nasa avaynai, because usually only when two witnesses say eidos, so then their eidos has an effect, because now the person can take the words of the two witnesses and collect money with it and so on. But when one witness says something, eid echad is not neman, is not believed to be mitzi mamin. What happens if one witness says eidos? It actually forces the other baldin to have to swear against the words of this eidos to back up his claim in order to pater himself. But the word of one witness itself cannot be mitzi mamin. So therefore, that's not what the pasuk was talking about when it said that you have an aveda for withholding testimony. But nevertheless, still you could cause a loss by withholding this eidos even as one aid. So therefore, b'dinei shemayim, the Braisa says you're still chayiv for this. Okay, but now here we had this list of these four things that are all grama b'nizakin and Yepater, but the Gemara asks, why is the Rabbi Yeshua and this Braisa listing just these four things? There's a bunch of other cases where you see that also Grama ben Izakin is Pater. There's no other cases of Grama ben Izakin that you Pater medini Yadam and you Chai bedini Shemayim. You have the following cases, and the siman over here of all these cases are Ha'isa, Besam, Beshliach, Chaveiroi, Nishbar. Those are the cases that Gemara is going to quote here that you see also that are a Grama. So the first case is a person that goes and takes the water of the chatas here, which is the para aduma, or the paras chatas, the para aduma itself, and you work with it. Now, once you work with it, even though physically there is no damage here, but it now is rendered possible for use for the para aduma. So this is a kind of damage. This is what the Gemara in Gittin refers to as a hezek shein and nikah. It's a damage which physically there's nothing noticeable here. So pater medina yadam, the Braisa says you pater medina yadam, but v'chayiv medina shemayim. Medina shemayim, you are going to be chayiv. So this is another example. And this all the cases that the Gemara brings there are in Braises. Another case is person that puts poison in front of his friend's animal, and the animal goes and eats it. So pater b'dinei yadam, you also pater b'dinei yadam. You didn't directly hurt it and do anything. You just put the poison there, and then it went and ate it. So therefore, v'chai b'dinei shemayim, you are chai b'dinei shemayim. Another case, v'ha'ikeh hashelech hasabe'eda, person that sends a fire biyad cheresh shoyte v'katan, in the hands of a cheresh shoyte v'katan that doesn't know how to take care of this properly. Pater b'dinei yadam. So if it causes then a fire, you pater b'dinei yadam, and v'chai b'dinei shemayim. Another case, hamavis es chavere, a person that scares his friend, or a person that makes a strong sound in his friend's ear. And because of this, the person gets afraid, or it causes a person even to lose his hearing. In such a case, pater midinei yadam, v'chai b'dinei shemayim is also pater midinei yadam, and only chai b'dinei shemayim. Because this is considered to be something you didn't do. Actual Rashi here says you didn't do an actual ma'aseh b'gufay, you didn't physically touch him or hurt him, mamish, by physical contact. So Rashi says here. In other places it says that when a person gets scared in this way, because of this he has injury, it's really he himself is participating in the cause of this injury, because a person that has awareness, a bardas, should be able to protect himself of such a kind of thing. He's sort of scaring himself. He's mavis asatzmai. That's the lashon that's brought. I'm not sure exactly how to explain this. It could be, it depends on the situation of how the person did it, but that's the hezbollah that it says, that the person is also scaring himself by you screaming into his ear, so therefore, b'dinei yadam, you're going to be potter. Another case, v'ha'ike nishpera kadei b'rishus harabim. The other case, we also, before here in the Masechta, a person that his jug was broken into the rishus harabim, v'loi silka, and he didn't clear it up, or nafla gemaloi, where his camel fell, v'loi amida, and he didn't clear it away from the road where it fell. So in both of these cases, there's a machlokes about this actually. Rab Meir mechayev bezeka. Rab Meir says you will be chayev for the damage that you cause, and you chayev even b'dinei yadam. The chachamim meimrim pater b'dinei yadam, but v'chayev b'dinei shemayim. B'dinei yadam you pater, b'dinei shemayim you will be chayev. There was a big arichas about this in the Gemara before. Rashi just mentions 2 points over here. If you remember, we had before in the Gemara, the first question over here regarding this case is niskal pesheya, niskal lav pesheya. Meaning when your jug fell or your camel fell, is that considered to be an oinus or is that considered to be a pshia? It's one question. Now another question over here is, this machlekes of Rav Meir and Chachamim could be talking about a case where right when it fell, before you had a chance to clear it up, someone else got damaged in it, or it could be talking about a case not right after it fell. You already had time to clear it up, and you didn't clear it up. Not only you didn't clear it up, you just left it there, you were mafkid it. Are you going to be chayiv after you were mafkid it? It's another machlekes that the Gemara explains whether you're chayiv after you're mafkid or not. Okay, so over here we see Chachamim say again that you only chayiv b'dinei shemayim. So why does the Brayse before only say 4 cases? So the Gemara answers, you're right. Mia iketuve, yes, there are all these many cases over here that the halach is the same thing. Pater b'dinei yadam and chayiv b'dinei shemayim. But v'hani itzrichelei. It's these cases that Rabbi Yeshua mentioned here that there's a unique chiddush to them. What's the chiddush? Ma'od etein, because in all these cases I would think to say b'dinei shemayim nami lo l'chayiv. That not only you should be pater b'dinei yadam, but it's something which is so not your fault to the extent that I would say even b'dinei shemayim you would be pater as well. Kamash Malon, that's why Rabbi Yeshua is bringing all these cases to point out that you're pater b'dinei yadam, but his main chiddush was that you still chayev b'dinei shemayim. And I hear the Gemara is going to go through all the 4 cases to explain what's the chiddush that you still chayev b'dinei shemayim. So the Gemara begins. In the case where you broke open a wall that was blocking your animal's friend, your friend's animal. So what's the chiddush over here to say that you're chayiv b'dinei shemayim? Ma'od I would think, given the lemister ekoi, since this is a wall, as we explained before, it's a unstable wall and it's supposed to be demolished. So ma'ovid, what did he do? He didn't do anything. The fact that the animal went out, so that's something which it's the animal was protected behind the wall, which was an unstable wall anyways, and the wall itself was supposed to be demolished. So he demolished it a little before. So b'dinei shemayim nami lo l'chayiv. In such a case, even b'dinei shemayim should be pater as well. Kamash Malon. Therefore, Rabbi Yeshua says no, that because the wall was still standing and you demolished it, so b'dinei shemayim you are going to be chayiv. The next case, when you bent down the grain towards a fire. So what did we explain before? That it's talking about a case where a regular wind wouldn't have burnt it. It's with an unusual wind that all of a sudden came and burnt it. So now me here as well. Mao, the time you would think, the person should say, Should I know that all of a sudden this unusual wind is going to come? So therefore, even B'din Shemayim should be potter. Kamash Malon, therefore, he said that no, that in this case, even though it's unusual wind, but nevertheless, don't touch your friend's tefua. Don't, if there's a fire and you bent it in that direction, so even for unusual wind, you're going to be responsible. B'din Shemayim. Well, Ravashi, and according to Ravashi, Ravashi says that what the person did is he covered this tefua and he turned it into being something that's tomon, covered, and therefore now the one that did light the fire is going to be potter to pay for what it burnt here. So why would I think that you potter medina shemayim? Because you would think that the person could say, I know kisuya kesisin elach. What was I trying to do? I was trying actually to cover it, to protect it from the fire. So apparently, this is talking about the person tried to cover it with some kind of material which is not flammable, something that would protect it from the fire. So he was just trying to help. And in the end, he didn't help. And it ended up getting burnt. And now that it got burnt, he ended up making matters worse, because now the one that made the fire is going to be potter. But he should say, I had good intentions here. So B'din Shemayim, you should be potter. Mashmalan, therefore, Abshua says that no, you are going to be chayiv B'din Shemayim for getting involved there and doing this and causing it to causing this person who made the fire to be potter. The next case, Rabbi Shua said, in the case where you hired false witnesses to testify in a din Torah between Reuven and Shimon. So ma the tema here, I would think to say, Leime, this person can say that I shouldn't be chayiv B'din Shemayim, because divrei Rav, divrei Talmud, divrei Mishayman. If you have a teacher that tells you something and you have a student that tells you something, who do you have to listen to? So over here, I hire these false witnesses. They have to listen to me. They know what it says in the Torah that you're not allowed to say false testimony. Why are they listening to me? The fact that they went and listened, so that's their Aveda. There's no shlichus, it's not connected to me. Even though, he arranged the whole thing, but nevertheless, they have their own bechira, and therefore, I shouldn't be chayiv B'din Shemayim either. B'din Shemayim nami lo l'chayiv. Kamash Malon, that's why he's saying that no, you hired them, you're paying them, so you are chayiv for this. The last case, v'ayideya edus l'chaveirei. A case where a person knows edus for his friend and he withholds this testimony. So nami here as well. So as we explained before, what are we talking about? We're talking about not two edus, because that's isim and atayda. Here we're talking about one aid that is withholding his testimony. So this person can come, I would think, to say as follows. He could say, Mi yemer, who says that if I would say my testimony, and I'm just one person, one aid, that this would cause the Baldin that I'm saying testimony against him. Who says that my testimony would have any effect anyways? Who says that because of this, he would admit that he owes the money? Maybe the person would swear against me. And he would swear falsely against me. And therefore, what happens? Again, by when you have an Eid Echad, so you're not going to go ahead and just collect money based on the words of an Eid Echad. You give the opportunity for the Baldin that you're saying Eidos against him to swear that no, the Eid Echad is lying, and therefore he's going to be potter. So if this person would swear against my testimony, so then my Eidos would anyways be worthless. So therefore, who says that the fact that I'm withholding this Eidos is a problem? Anyways, the Eidos that I say is not necessarily going to do anything. Ubedin Shemayim, nami lo l'chayiv. So therefore, even Medina Shemayim should be potter as well by withholding this Eidos. Kamash Malon. Therefore, Rabbi Shua said that no, the Eidah saying Eidos also has a certain effect, and withholding it is also causing a loss in Yechayiv Medina Shemayim. Kamash Malon. Okay, this is one of the sugyas in Shas which talks about this halacha of Grama ben Izakin. And just to mention one point here, when you get to Grama ben Izakin, there's a famous Ramban. He wrote a whole kontras called Kontras Dina de Garmi. In Shas, as well, here we're talking about Grama, when you cause a damage indirectly. Yeah. But then there's a different kind of thing. Not always when you cause a damage are you potter. When you cause a damage in a way that, true, you didn't do the damage directly, but the damage that happened through you causing it is definitely going to happen, then that's called Garmi. It's more direct and it's more definite. So in such a case, you actually are chayiv b'din yadam. In all of these cases, it's not only the fact that it's a cause, but it's a kind of a cause where it's not even clear what the outcome is going to be exactly. And that's not even clear what the outcome is going to be. So that's what's called a grama, and therefore you're going to be potter. That's Ramban goes through all these cases. You see over here from all these cases, it's not only the fact that it's a cause, but the actual damage that ended up happening is something that is not even definite and it's going to happen. So therefore you're potter. You don't know, the animal goes out, you don't know for sure that the animal is going to be mazik. Or maybe even the animal is not going to go out. Even if it goes up, maybe it's not going to be mazik. So all these cases, if you go through them, you see it's not cases where the damage that happens is a certain thing. Okay, the Gemara goes back to what it said in the Mishnah in the beginning of the Pedic. Nifritza balayla shepertzua listim chulu. If a person had his animals inside a barn or inside a pen, and the gate was breached in the middle of the night, or bandits came and breached it, so this is an einus. So in such a case, he'll be potter. That's a simple pshat of the Mishnah. So now on this, Omar Rabba came and said, Vuhu shechotra. When are you going to be potter? This that it says over in the Mishnah that you potter, this is only if the animals that came out, how did they come out? They dug under the wall, under the door, and that's how they came out. That's when you're going to be potter. Okay, now, so the Gemara asks, what does this mean? So in other words, what he's saying is, what happened over here is not that the wall just fell on its own in the middle of the night. What happens is these animals were digging under the wall, and that caused that caused the wall to fall, and then you're going to be potter. So what does this mean? Says the Gemara, Avol loichotra mai. If the wall that fell in the middle of the night, it didn't fall as a result of these animals digging under the wall. It happened that just on its own, the wall just fell. So what's going to be the halach in such a case? Chayiv. So then the owner is going to be chayiv when it just fell in the middle of the night. Why should he be chayiv? Hey chidami, what are we talking about? Body. Are we talking about that this was a strong, stable wall and then it somehow fell in the middle of the night? So chatra. If the animals weren't digging under it and it fell in the middle of the night, am I chayiv? Why should he be chayiv? It's still an einus. What could he do about this? So the case over here must be that this was an unstable wall. And over here, maybe you can make a distinction that there's a difference whether it fell on its own or whether it fell if they dug under it. Right? So if it fell on its own, so then there's a pshia here. He's negligent. Why is he leaving an unstable wall to close in his animals? It can fall on its own and the animals will go out. But if so, the question though is ki chatra. If it's anyways an unstable wall, and now the way that the wall ended up falling is because the animals were digging under this wall, and that's how it fell, but am I potter? Why should it be potter for this? Even if you're going to say that once the animals were digging under the wall, so then he wasn't expecting the animals to do such a crazy thing, to start digging under the wall, so that's something which he didn't, that's beyond his control, that's ainus, but still, why should it be potter? This is a case of tchilasai b'pshiyah. In the beginning, there's a negligence on his part because the wall that he left here to block these animals is an unstable wall. And the seifa b'inus, yeah, true, in the end it is an inus because the animals behaved in an unusual manner, digging under the wall. But still, if in the beginning it's a pshiyah, so in such a case you should be chayiv. Now, just to clarify what the pshat over here of this tchilas b'pshiyah, the seifa b'inus is, the way the wall fell when the animals ended up digging under the wall it's because it was such a weak and unstable wall, so therefore when they dug under it, it was easy for the wall to just topple and fall. If when the animals dug under the wall ended up falling, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it was an unstable wall. So the pshia is one thing. And the einus, that the animals behaved unusually and it fell, is a separate thing and they're not related to each other. So in such a case, tchilas b'pshia, the seifa b'einus is going to be potter. This is a klal that Taisus explains before. I mentioned it in Daf Nun Beis. Taisus talks about this concept. Tchilas b'pshia, the seifa b'einus is only if the einus that happened in the end is something that it's caused by the pshia in the beginning. And that's the case over here. But now the Gemara brings, there's actually a machlokes about this. Again? The nifritza balayla is the wall. The wall.
That goes on who? Somebody did it? It's by itself. Oh,
no, nifritza by itself, on its own. Just fell on its own. So now the Gemara brings, there's a machlokes about chilas b'pshiyah v'seifa b'inus. So what Rabbi says makes sense according to the opinion that says chilas b'pshiyah. In the beginning there was a negligence on your part, but then v'seifa b'inus. But in the end, what happened was an einus. So potter. Such a case, because in the end there was an einus, you potter. But according to the opinion that says that because it was a negligence in your part in the beginning, even though in the end what ended up happening was an einus, like over here in this case with the animals dug under the wall, it's an einus, but nevertheless, because it was all caused by your negligence in the beginning, chayiv, you are chayiv for this. So how are you going to explain over here? What was this distinction? Rabbi was saying that chotra, that if the animals dug under an unstable wall, you're going to be, in such a case, you're going to be Potter. Why should you be potter for this? Says the Gemara, Ella, going back to the Pshat in the Mishnah, Masnisin b'kaisel body. This case of the Mishnah that we just quoted, when the wall fell down in the middle of the night and it was an oinus. Why is it an oinus? Because it was a strong, stable wall. So of course, in this part of the Mishnah, when it fell in the middle of the night, it doesn't make a difference if the animal dug under the wall, they didn't dig under the wall. It falls down in the middle of the night, you're going to be potter because it's an oinus. You left a very good, stable wall here. When Rabbi over here said that there's a distinction that only because the animals dug under it, so therefore you're going to be chayev, what was Rabbi talking about? That only then, because the animals dug under it, therefore you're going to be potter, aseife itmer. Rabbi was saying this in the next case of the Mishnah. What did it say afterwards in the Mishnah? Bava Kama. You left your animals in a pen, and it's exposed to the sun. So yeah, there's a fence, they're fenced in, or there's a wall around it, but they're in the sun. And they're hot, and they get very, very, very annoyed, and they get very wild because of this. Or you gave over the animals to a cotton to guard them. And and as a result of this, the animals went out and were mazik chayiv. You're chayiv for the damages that happened. So on this, Rabbi said, when you left your animals there, behind the wall, but exposed to the sun, va'afile chatra. So Rabbi over here says, that even if the animals then went and dug under the wall, you're still going to be chayiv for this. That's what Rabbi said. Not v'husha chatra, but v'afilu chatra. Even if what ended up happening is that the animals dug under the wall and did something so unusual, you're still going to be responsible for the damage that happened. So what's the chiddush here? What was Rabbi trying to say? Loi mi boye, needless to say, heichadul loy chatra. In a case where the animals did not dig under the wall and the animals went out and damaged because of this. There was no wall there, or the animals went out and damaged. They were in the sun and they got very hot, and therefore the animals went out and were wild and they caused damage. So in such a case, for sure, the owner of the animals that left them here in the sun is going to be responsible. Why? Because the kulubib shiyahu. In such a case, obviously, leaving your animals in such a kind of situation in the sun or by a cheresh of a cotton, so when damaged, it's all your negligence. Elo afil chotronami. Even in a case where you left your animals in the sun, and then what ended up happening in the end is the animals did something very unusual. They started digging under a wall. Even in this case, the owner is going to be responsible for all this. Why? Now the chiddush here is ma'od the tema. I would think to say that this as well, havulate chilasav b'shiv sefer b'aynis. In the beginning, there's a negligence on your part because you're leaving your animals in a place that causes them to be agitated, and therefore you're causing them to then be wild and go undamaged. But then in the end, it's an itis. Because then in the end, what happened here? The animals dug under a wall, which is something unexpected, unusual for the animals to do. So you would think that this is in the end an itis, so you potter. Kamash Malan, therefore Rabbi is saying that no, filachatra, the kulap shihi, even in a case where you left the animals in the sun and then it acted unusually and it dug under the wall, you're still responsible for that. It's all your negligence. Why? My time, why is it all your negligence? The Amalei, because we say to this person, made the yadis, you know, the kivin the shafkasa b'chama, if you leave your animals in a pen exposed to the sun, kol tatztik the isla lemevet of the venafke, whatever it can do to get itself out of this place in the sun, it's going to do. So the fact that it behaved unusually and it dug under the wall, that's something that you expect. It's not only that it was caused by your negligence, it's mamish something that you have to expect, and therefore you're going to be chayiv. It's all, the whole entire thing is one big pshia. The next thing it said in the Mishnah, listim. If bandits came and they broke open the door of your barn and they took out the animals, which simply sounds like they mamish went and took out the animals to be mazik. So listim chayavim. So the listim are going to be chayiv. Now, when the bandits, when they take out the animals, so they're ganavim, they take it out. So what happens is it becomes theirs. They're kainet with this geneva. So therefore they're going to be chayiv. That's what it seems like the Mishnah is saying. So the Gemara asks on this pshita. What's the chiddush over here? Obviously, these ganovim that took out these animals mamish by hand should be chayiv. Kivin da'afkua. If they took out these animals that mamish by hand, so the halacha is kaimala b'reshusayu l'chol mili. So then they're kaina these animals for everything. They're responsible for any damages that it causes. Why shouldn't they be chayiv for this? Just like, the Mishnah later says, we'll see in the continuation of the Gemara, the Mishnah said, if you give over your animals to a shomer, to a shepherd, so now it belongs now, it's in the possession of the shomer, the raya, they're responsible. Over here, the ganev, so of course he has the mitzvah of the veheshavus like but the animals itself that he was kind of be a dayim, there's a kinyan geneve that he becomes that he's responsible for any damage that it causes. What's the chiddush here? Says the Gemara, the chiddush is as follows. The case of here is the kamala ba'apa. They didn't touch the animals. They weren't kainet at all. They reached the door open, and now the animals come out, and these ganovim here are sort of standing in front of the animal that causes it to end up going into someone else's property to eat something that's not his. He said in the name of Rav that Hamamid behemes chaveri al komes chaveroi. If you go and position your animal on the tavua on the field of your friend, chayiv. You chayiv to pay for what it ate over there when you put it there. Now it sounds like what he was saying is that you mamish went and placed your animal on your friend's field, and where there's the food and it ate there, you chayiv. So what did Rav mean to say by this? Maimid, you placed the animal there, and that's what Rav came to say, that you're chayiv pshita. Obviously, you're chayiv. You placed your animal there and it ate there. So lo yitzrich. No, what was the chiddush that Rav was saying? The kamla ba'apa. You're sort of directing the animal. You're standing and you're blocking the animal of going anywhere else, and it ends up walking in that direction. So this you're going to be chayiv for as well. So the chiddush of this Gemara over here is the same thing over here regarding these bandits. They do not own this animal at all. They just broke open the door and then they sort of blocked the animal, and it ended up going into this person's property and ate over there. Nevertheless, because they blocked the animal and it went in that direction, they're going to be chayiv for this. So Taisus explains, even though in the pasuk it says that v'shilach es be'ir roi u'bir b'zdei yache, be'ir roi means to be your animal. It's your animal that went and ate in someone's property, then you're chayiv for shem v'regel. Over here, it's not your animal. Yeah, true, they blocked it, it went there, but it's not yours. No, the chiddush of our Mishnah is that if you opened the door for the animal and then you blocked it and you made it made its way to go there, it's as if it's your animal mamish. You chayiv for shem v'regel as if this is be'iroi, because you're sort of causing the animal to go in that place. That's one pshat over here. Amalei Abaye Rav Yosef. Abaye said to Rav Yosef that no, there's a different pshat in this Mishnah. He kisha omritlon. The case over here is that the bandits broke open the door of this barn, and then they hit the animal with a stick, and with this they were kind of the animal. So what's the point over here? What it's saying is that how you kind of the animal just by hitting it, this itself it becomes yours. So just like this hikisha is going back to this case where you cause the animal to go over there into this place to eat the food. And you're not mamish placing the animal over there on the food. You're just hitting it, and it's causing it to go in that direction. That's what Rav Yosef said. So over here as well, v'listim nami dehikishua. Over here, by these bandits, so a little different than what it said before, that he was standing in a place where he caused the animals to go in that direction. He hit the animals, and that's what caused it to go in that direction. But Rashi's pshat actually over here in the Gemara is that once you hit the animal, that's kinyan meshicha. Where your kind of animal with Meshicha is, when you hit it and it goes in the direction that you want it to go, that's Kinyan Meshicha. So over here as well, the Chiddush of our Mishnah is to say that when the bandits broke open the door and the animal came out and you hit the animal, that the Ganovim are kind of this B'Meshicha, and therefore, now that you're kind of the animal, whatever damage it does, it goes and eats in someone else's property, you're going to be chayiv for this. The Chiddush is that this is the Kinyan, that you kind of through the hitting it. That's Rashi's pshat. Taisus, other Rishonim disagree that the chiddush over here is similar to the previous pshat. That even though it's not yours, it's still going to be chayiv because you sort of directed it in that direction. It's just another example of the same thing. Said in the Mishnah, that if you give over your animal to a shepherd, so then now the shepherd has all the responsibility of this animal and any damages that it causes. So now the question is, what's this case? Omri tachtov the man. When it says here that the shepherd takes the place of the who takes the responsibility for all the damage that it causes instead of who? Ilay metacht of the Baal. Are we talking about the owner of the animal that gave it over to a shepherd, or Baal Behema that is? So, and that's what our Mishnah is teaching. Tanina Chadazimna. That can't be the Chiddush of our Mishnah because we had a clear Mishnah before in the Masechta that taught this already. Masr l'shem chinam. You give the animal to Hashem chinam, or l'shoyel, some of the barrows, or an enayis sachar, someone that you hired to guard it, and you're paying him for this, or l'seicher to a renter. Kula nichnesu tachas abaylim. In all these cases, they take the responsibility like the owner for any damages that it causes. So our Mishnah here is basically repeating the same thing. Ella, says the Gemara, what does tachtov mean? Tachtov the shemer. What it means is that this animal is not anymore in the possession of the original owner. There's a shemer, there's someone that's guarding this animal. Now the person that's guarding the animal, he gave it over to a second guard, he gave it over to another roya, to a shepherd, to guard the animal. And what the Mishnah is saying is, Bava Kama ifta le'legamri. The first person that was guarding the animal gave it over to a shepherd. So now, because he's a shemer, but he gave it over to a second shemer, he's going to be totally potter. Says the Gemara, now if that's the case of our Mishnah, if so, if so, this refutes the halacha that Rava said. Rava said, shemer shamasar l'shemer. When you have a person that took responsibility, he's guarding something, and he gave it over to a second shemer. And now, in the possession of the second shemer, it got damaged, and now the item is not here to be returned, or it caused damage, like we're talking about over here. So Rava says, Chayiv, the first shemer is responsible for this. Because the original owner of this item turns to the first owner and says, I gave it to you. You're the one that I trusted with this. You're the one that if anything happens to it, I trust you. If you're going to swear to me about the condition of this item, I don't trust the second person. So you have to, the first shemer has to take responsibility. But over here we see in the Mishnah, the way we explain the Mishnah, it's talking about one shemer that gave it over to now a second shemer, another shepherd here. And it says that the shepherd takes responsibility, not the first shemer. So Rava will answer you, my masra l'roya. When it says over here that he gave it over to a roya, that this shemer gave it over to a roya, libarzile. What it means is that the first shemer himself is a shepherd of animals, and he has then a helper or a student that helps him in his work, and he gave over to his helper the animal to guard for him. In this case, Rav is going to be maideh that it's the first shemer here is going to be potter. Why? The urche the raya lemimser lebarzile, because this is very normal for a person that's a shepherd to have a helper and to sometimes give over the animals to his helper to take care of them. So this is something that the original owner expects and takes into account, that if I'm giving it to this shemer to guard, then he's going to also allow his helpers also to guard it, and therefore he must have trusted the second shemer as well. So the first shemer is completely potter. There are others that said the discussion of this Mishnah in reference to Rava's opinion, that the discussion went different and the opposite, as follows. Midiktani, in the language of the Mishnah, what does it say? Masra l'roya, that he gave it over to a shepherd. Why does he use this expression that he gave it over to a shepherd? Why does the Mishnah simply say Masra la'acher, that a person owns an animal and he gave the animal now to someone else to guard? Why dafka a roya, shepherd? Shmamina, the diak of the Mishnah using the word shepherd is my masra l'roya, masa roya lebarzile. That it's talking about a shepherd specifically because a shepherd is a case which is a person that this is what he does as a profession. He's a shepherd and he has helpers, and therefore the Mishnah wants to say specifically this din that he gave it over to a shepherd which has helpers. And therefore it's to be expected that this shepherd gives it over to his helpers, and it's in such a case where the shepherd then gave it over to his helpers that the helpers that allowed this damage to happen are going to be chayiv and not the shemer, because this is something that the original owner expects to happen. But that's why the Mishnah said specifically roya. Aval acher loy. But if it was simply a case where you gave it over to one shemer, and now this shemer gave it over to a second shemer, and it's not to be expected that he would give it over to some other shemer, in such a case, the first shemer is going to be responsible. Like Rava said, the owner could say, I trusted you. So if so, so from the diak of the Mishnah that it says Raya, this is a proof to what Rava said. Rava said that when one shemer gives over to a second shemer, then the first shemer is responsible. So the Gemara on this says, no, Omri, the answer, it's not necessarily a proof for Rav Eloi, Dilme, Orche, the Milsikatani. The fact that the Mishnah uses the term Sheimer is not Dafke, it's just, that's ordinary that it's given over to a shepherd. So it used the word shepherd. The same halacha would be if it's anybody else. If one Sheimer gives over to another Sheimer, it would be the same din that maybe only the second Sheimer is responsible. The Gemara here brings now another machlekes, and there'll be a whole continuation about this in the next daf. Itmer, we learned the following machlekes. Sheimer Aveda, a person that's guarding a lost item, he has as the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda, and he has this Aveda now in his house, and he's guarding it. He doesn't know who the owner is, so he has to guard it. What status of Shmira does he have? Rabba says, K'shei Mechinam. He is on the level of a Shei Mechinam, which is only responsible for any negligence that causes any damage to it. But for Gneva, Aveda, or anything else, he's not responsible. Rav Yosef says, no, this is like a person that's hired and being paid for guarding it, and therefore his responsibility is much more. Even also for Gneva and Aveda. So the Gemara explains, Rabba says that his responsibility is like a person that's not being paid. It's simple. What benefit does he have from this? He's guarding it, no one's paying him for this. So he's a Shem Mechinam. Rav Yosef says he's a Shem Mesachar. Why? What kind of benefit does he have? With this benefit that he has here, that while he's busy tending to this Aveda that he has in his possession, if a poor man comes to his door to collect food or money, he doesn't have to do that mitzvah to go and give him food or money because he's busy with another mitzvah. He's busy with the mitzvah, taking care of this Aveda. Let's say the Aveda was an animal. And he has this animal now in his barn, and every so often he has to take care of this animal. So while it doesn't mean all the time when this animal or this Aveda is in his possession, he doesn't have to give tzedakah. While he's busy taking care of this animal, then he's going to be pater, oisik b'mitzvah, pater min mitzvah. He's not going to have to go and give bread to a poor person. So havik a shem esachar. There's a gain in that he has here, and therefore he's considered to be like a shem esachar. Now, a little bit of another version of it here regarding why Rav Yosef says the Shem Esachar. Some said like this: Rav Yosef Amek Shem Esachar. A person that's guarding an Aveda is a Shem Esachar because Kivan the Rachmana Shibde Balkarche, since the Torah says that he must do this even against his will, Hilkach Keshem Esachar Dami. So therefore, he's going to be a Shem Esachar. So some say that this pshat is actually a continuation of the same pshat that it said before. That really the point over here is that Isaac b'mitzvah patim and a mitzvah, and because he's being Isaac b'mitzvah and the Torah wants him to do this bal karche, so therefore that's the reason why he's a Shem Esachar. Look at this kind of pshatim over regarding the second Indian. Okay.